America is not a racist country.
Ladies and gentlemen, one thing you can best believe about the U.S. slavery has never ended. It went from the plantation to the workers' lease program, it went to sharecropping, and now it's all in the mass incarceration. And this is why America has so many innocent people hosed up in their prisons for decades. And they don't even allow them to be exonerated until decades later. So if you got people in there that didn't commit a crime and they're doing your slave work, that's where slavery is. So so what's the difference between slave catching and forcing people into a servitude situation? Because that's all prison is in the US. They try to pretend like it's all about crime. It's all about prison labor. It's all about slavery and keeping it going so that they can continue to live deliciously. So let's get into this, ladies and gentlemen. US prison workers produce $11 billion worth of goods and services a year for penance. So, incarcerated workers in the US produce at least $11 billion in goods and services annually, but receive just pennies an hour for their prison jobs, according to a new report from the American Civil Liberties Union. Nearly two-thirds of all prisoners in the US, which imprisons more of its population than any other country in the world. That's because America heavily depends and need slavery. They can't make it without it. So, ladies and gentlemen, their population is mainly in the state and federal prisons. That figure is roughly 800,000 people. Yes, that's how many they need to enslave to keep America going. People, researchers, and estimated in the report, which is based on extensive public records, and this is questionnaires and interviews with incarcerated workers. The ACLU researchers said the findings outlined in Wednesday's report raise concerns about the systemic exploitation of prisoners. America has a long standing history since its inception of exploiting people. See, only a devil will do that. Who are compelled to work sometimes difficult and dangerous jobs without basic labor protection, little or no training, making close to nothing. And in some cases, there are um, prisons that pay nothing. So, most incarcerated workers are tasked with general prison maintenance. That is crucial to keep the facility running, according to the ACLU researchers who worked with the University of Chicago Law School, Global Human Rights Clinic. State governments and the prison system are extracting tremendous value from a captive and exploited workforce, all while claiming they can't afford to pay them a livable wage, said Jennifer Turner, a principal author of the report. More than 80% of incarcerated laborers do general prison maintenance that includes cleaning, cooking, repair work, laundry, and other essential services. For paid non industry jobs, workers make an average of 13 cents to 52 cents an hour. Slavery. You know darn well if these folks were in the real world, they could never make it on that. They could never make it on there. And y'all don't let these people convince you all of these folks have committed crimes. Exonerations happen every day in America. They got probably a good portion of the prison population are people. Their slave catchers go out here and grab off the streets, claim they committed a crime. They get before a corrupt judge, a corrupt prosecutor, and they go to jail with no crime ever being committed. And this is the way the game has been played since the slaves stepped off of the plantation. See, the moment you stepped off of the plantation, you became a criminal so that they could justify locking you up and keeping the slave work going. Nothing has changed. 7 states: Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Texas pay nothing for the vast majority of prison work. So that's slavery. That's slavery. Incarcerated workers who are paid often see most of their pay withheld for taxes, room and board expenses, and court costs, the report states. We are saving the prisons millions of dollars and getting paid pennies in return. All of the jobs we are doing in prison are not really benefiting us. It is more benefiting the prison system. Well, that's how their whole society works. They make sure nothing benefits us and everything benefits them. It's been a lousy relationship, one that they don't want to end. I work a job making $450 for the whole year. Latasha Millender, an inmate at a prison in Illinois, according to a report, that is a disgrace. Public officials have acknowledged that the work of these unpaid and poorly compensated incarcerated laborers is crucial. So, if it's crucial, then that tells you America still is heavily reliant on slavery. See, they just switch up the names to make it seem like that's really not what it is, and that's exactly what it is. There is no way we can take care of our facilities, our roads, our ditches, if we didn't have inmate labor. So, in other words, we need slavery. Warren Yeager, a former Gulf County, Florida commissioner, said to the Florida Times Union. Other officials have said they oppose new sentencing and parole laws that would reduce the pool of incarcerated workers, according to reports. Wow. It just like, remember when all that stuff came out about Kamala? They wanted to let the low level prisoners go, the ones that committed low level crimes, and she was concerned about the prison work and held them back from their freedom. That's why I said this place still thrives on slavery. All right, Stephen Prater, a Louisiana sheriff, said we need to keep some out there. That's the ones that you can work, that pick up trash, the work release program. But guess what? Those are the ones that they are releasing. Y'all remember that? I remember that. The good ones that we use every day to wash cars, change oils in our cars, to cook in the kitchen and do all that where we save money. Yeah, because you're saving money because you're not paying them. You're treating them like slaves. Well, they are going to let them out. More than 75% of the workers told the ACLU researchers that if they can't work or decline to do so, they are subjected to punishment ranging from solitary confinement to the loss of family visits to denial of sentence reductions. So, yeah, so they get revenge on you because you don't want to be a slave up in their system. Most incarcerated workers are not provided with skills and training for their work that would help them secure jobs when they are released, Turner said. 70% said they did not receive any formal job training, and 70% said they couldn't afford essentials like soap and phone calls with their wages. The United States has a long problematic history of using incarcerated workers as a source of cheap labor to subsidize the costs of our bloated prison system, said Turner, a principal human rights researcher with the ACLU Human Rights Program. Yeah, the United States is the biggest human rights violator on the face of the earth. But because they are a superpower and a lot of organizations and companies and countries are scared to call them out, I don't have nothing to lose. The United States is the biggest human violator on the face of the earth, and they've been this way for centuries. Incarcerated workers are stripped of most of their minimal protections against labor exploitation and abuse. Yes, because see, when you get in there and they abuse you or even kill you up in there, it's not like you can call 911 for help. They literally strip every right you have away from you, just like a slave. But according to them, slavery's over, never been over. They paid pennies for their work and often unsafe working conditions, even as they produce billions of dollars for states and federal government. And don't forget the corporations. Some workers make slightly higher wages working for state prison industries, which are typically state owned run programs by the corrections department to produce goods and provide services for government agencies. That includes manufacturing furniture, cleaning supplies, and uniforms for other government workers, washing laundry for public hospitals, universities, and calling centers of the Department of Motor Vehicles. My goodness. So if you got to call the Department of Motor Vehicles in your state, chances are you're on the phone with an inmate, probably getting paid nothing. In 2021, more than 51,000 people held industry jobs, accounted for 6.5% of prison labor. The research found the workers were paid 30 cents to $1.30 an hour on average. You can't live on that. In Oregon, for example, the DMV pays incarcerated workers $4 to $6 a day, while a worker outside the prison doing the same job at the DMV makes an average of $80 per day. Incarcerated workers in prison programs generate goods and services of 2.9 billion nationally. In 2021, the authors found, citing estimates from the National Corrections Industry Association, a prison industry group, the researcher estimates that the maintenance work of the prisoner is worth $9 billion a year, but caution that there was no centralized data on the value of this work. That figure was probably an undercount and a rough estimate from earlier studies. The authors reported calling for extensive changes around the use of prison labor, including ensuring such work is voluntary and provides workers with the same wage and protections granted to other workers, as well as programs that give incarcerated workers marketable skills and training. They won't do it. They won't do it. They don't care about being fair to people. They haven't been fair to people for 500 years. You think they're worried about being fair now? Give me a break. You got to have a conscience to be fair. Enough said. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family. More judgment for America.